I just wanted to address you as your president with a note of support, really, as we try to cope as well as we can through this unprecedented challenge as the pandemic continues. COVID-19, the coronavirus, has and still is continuing to disrupt our lives. We're having to isolate ourselves, distance ourselves from family and friends, work in different ways, and not being able to engage or interact in the ways that we used to. And it really is quite unsettling, isn't it? From a personal perspective, I too have found myself in that situation. I normally live in the country of Switzerland. A quick 4-day trip to visit my family back here in Scotland, my homeland, has turned into 6 weeks now here with just a weekend bag worth of clothes. I've been locked down in Scotland, away from my home, away from my friends and family, and I'm fed up of living out of a suitcase in an Airbnb rental apartment and not being able to go and see my family. In addition, I managed to pick up the coronavirus and have been quite sick with that over several weeks, and thankfully I'm recovering now and pleased to be with you today. I thought there was a light at the end of the tunnel for me with a flight back home to Switzerland booked for next Tuesday, the 19th of May. But that flight was cancelled by the airline, and I received a letter to say the earliest that I can get back to my home in Switzerland is middle of July now. Like many of you, I've had enough of this pandemic and the cabin fever is setting in. But I guess all we can do is be patient, which, as some of you may know, is something that doesn't come easily to me. Despite all said, we've got to take away the positives and embrace the time that we have to spend with those that we love, to find ways to strengthen social connections with other people through things like these webinars and video chats or phone calls or letters and social media connections too. Over the last few weeks, I've found myself writing handwritten letters and cards to people that I realize that I probably have lost a bit of touch with, but they're still very important to me in my life. So I just wanted to reach out and say hello to them. I've received letters and cards back and notes on emails and small gifts from friends and family that I haven't heard from for a while too. And these things really pick me up and make me feel like I'm part of something much bigger rather than sitting here on my own in a rental apartment. And of course, social media is everywhere, isn't it? But there's a balance. We can get too much news. I think one of the biggest risks from the pandemic right now is the infodemic that accompanies it. I'm trying hard not to watch too much news or read too much news at the moment, because what's clear to me is that we really don't know what the future looks like yet. I'm hosting webinars every second week for IOSH with the World Health Organization and the United Nations, and the experts there in those organizations tell us every day is a day for learning. We don't really know what we're supposed to be doing next. So taking in all of this news that surrounds us, I think fuels anxiety more. So we need to be careful about what news we are paying attention to, stick to the facts, and try not to overthink this. I guess we're all finding ways to cope and understand what the pandemic means for us and what our role is in all of this, whether it's as a husband, a partner, a wife, a brother, sister, father, mother, friend, colleague, co-worker, or other. You know, for me, if this period of the pandemic has taught us anything at all so far, it's taught us the importance of human connection. In many countries around the world, governments are talking about the need for social distance. But I think that's a misnomer. It's not social distance that we need right now. I think it's physical distance. We need to physically separate ourselves from other people to reduce the risk of spread of the virus. But what I'm seeing right now is that social distance is reducing. Here I am today connecting to over 230 of you through this simple webinar technology. We're creating these social connections. They're not physical, but they're very important and very social indeed. One thing that's very important to me as your president is the work that you do. It's never been more important than right now that our profession has an opportunity to come right to the fore in this pandemic and show how important and how valuable OSH practitioners really are for organizations and for communities and societies too. I recorded a short message recently, which you may have seen, where I spoke about all the amazing efforts of health and safety professionals around the world. Nearly 48,000 of us here in IOSH in 130 countries now. Those working from home in different unusual environments with families and kids at home, we're all joining forces as one to ensure that we and our membership remain strong. And it's a real honor and pride for me to be your president, particularly in these turbulent times during the pandemic. You can listen to that video message, which is being dubbed my co-video, on the IOSH Coronavirus Resources page. You'll find it at iosh.com/coronavirus. In that video, I also spoke about the IOSH Benevolent Fund. Many of our members may be facing hardships during this challenging time, and that's where the IOSH Benevolent Fund could really offer a lifeline of financial or other support to members who are struggling. And I encourage you to take advantage of this if you find yourself in that situation or know of someone that needs a little bit of extra support right now. To find out more about the Benevolent Fund, just go to iosh.com/benevolent fund. To show our support, every member of the IOSH presidential team has donated to this vital fund, and we'd appreciate all other contributions, no matter how small they may be. Every pound can help one of our members. So if you're able to do so, please consider boosting the fund to help your fellow colleagues. Donating is simple. It takes just a couple of minutes by credit card online at iosh.com/how-to-donate. It goes without saying that we'll all be feeling somewhat anxious by the changes that we're experiencing. And to address this, I'll soon hand over to Tim Eldridge, one of our vice presidents, who will present a session on how our mental and physical well-being can be affected in these difficult times. And also how we can mitigate those effects and boost our well-being and resilience. I really hope that each of you take something away from that session with Tim today. During these difficult times, it's important to remember that the little things we do often makes the biggest difference. So look out for one another, your loved ones, your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues. Recognize and thank those that are working throughout this period. Whether it's the key workers, those on the front line, or your colleagues in your organization. A phone call, a letter, a video call, whatever you can do to stay connected, I'm sure will be appreciated right now. We're all on this journey together as one IOSH. That's how we'll succeed this virus, as one IOSH. I'm sharing my journey each week in my LinkedIn posts that I'm calling The Life of the IOSH President. And I encourage you to get involved in the discussions there. I'm trying to post an idea that's on my mind and stimulate discussion and sharing of experience. And I've been so impressed with how many of you have contributed to those discussions. Thousands of people in some of these dialogue threads. As I said at the beginning of my message, right now is the moment that our profession can really shine. The profession has never been more needed and never been more important, in my view. I really believe that we'll look back at this moment in time, in years to come, and say, that's when things changed. That's when we were recognized as a profession for the value that we bring. IOSH will continue to keep you updated and support you through this challenging period. So keep an eye on the IOSH website, particularly that coronavirus resources page, where you'll find a stack of resources that's updated on almost a daily basis. In the meantime, thank you for your time and your attention, for the invitation to come and join you and talk with you today. I wish you and your loved ones the very best. Take care of yourselves and don't forget to make time for yourself and your own well-being too. It's easy right now when we're all under pressure and being demanded every day to help and support others to forget about ourselves. Know that I'm thinking of you. I'm grateful for you as members of the world's leading body for OSH practitioners. and for your attention today. Thank you very much.